What's up, homies? Welcome back to Poppin' In with Alexa and Molly. I'm Molly.
And I'm Alexa, and this is the podcast where it's really just one movie after another. Bow, 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 bow.
And I said what's up, homies, because that's a reference to one battle after another. I'm not just saying what's up, homies.
Like,
Sorry.
I'm cool,
I
cool, I swear.
really had to, come back and say that.
Have you ever, the word homie just come naturally out of your mouth?
No, but it came out so naturally out of Leonardo DiCaprio, it really made me laugh.
Yeah, it was good.
Not naturally, but it was just funny.
Yes, it was good. What's up, homies?
He is so funny. And I feel like I forget that until I see his next movie. Then I'm like, I forgot how funny he is.
Do you think he's funny in real life?
Whenever I've seen him, and he doesn't do interviews a lot, but whenever I've seen him in interviews, he is funny.
Interesting. Well, before we get into it, I just want to ask, how are you doing today?
Oh my gosh, I'm fine. How are you?
I'm doing
As if we
all
haven't
right.
been speaking for 2 hours.
They didn't need to know that.
And we're not going to say what we were talking about. We're not. But
yeah, we won't. But you guys can just
based on current pop culture, you guys can maybe guess, but we're not going to speak about it on here because y'all don't want to hear our opinions.
Yeah, that's true. But yeah, I mean, I've got my little glass of wine. I had a lovely, relaxing weekend. Shout out to Megan Woodward because we're recording on her birthday.
The day that this comes out, though, it's too late.
Yeah, but she'll listen to it and she'll appreciate the shout out.
She will. She will.
Yeah.
She won't listen, but yeah, she will.
Yeah. When you're listening and you'll know.
Yeah.
We're good friends.
Yeah.
That's what matters.
Yeah.
Anyway, so we're here to talk about the movie of du jour. Movie du jour.
What?
Like the movie of the day.
Oh my god. Oh, stupid. Okay, got it.
To be fair, I did say the movie of du jour, which is the movie of the day.
That's why I was confused.
That's cringe. That's going to be my dad when he learns Spanish.
Which long story.
Yeah, long story. He announced he wanted to learn Spanish this weekend. Anyways. Shout out to John. Anyways, it's one battle after another. If you don't know, this is the new Paul Thomas Anderson movie. I keep wanting to call him, every time I typed it in, I kept saying in my head,
PTA.
PTA. What is Thomas? Oh my God. Taylor Thomas.
Taylor, what?
Oh my God. The 90s star.
Know.
Now I can't. Too many Thomases.
The kid you're talking about?
Yes.
Yeah.
It's also three
whatever.
names.
It's something Taylor. Aaron Taylor Johnson.
Yes.
No, that's
something
not
like that. Yes.
Him. That's another actor.
So if you don't know, it's the big movie at the box office, Warner Brothers hit from PTA Paul Thomas Anderson, starring Leonardo DiCaprio, Sean Penn, Benicio del Toro, Teyana Taylor, and in her first film role, Chase Infinity. But so this is a big movie right now. And if you don't know, we should say right at the top that we're going to be getting into some spoilers. As always, we put our timestamps in the episode description. So if you haven't seen the movie, go see it, come back and listen, but you can see what our next topic is. We also put it in our Instagram at Poppin' In Podcast. So take a look, follow us, message us, interact with our question of the week. Back to the movie. So to give a little the short description of this movie is when their evil enemy resurfaces after 16 years, a group of ex-revolutionaries reunite to rescue one of their own's daughter. That is a very watered down, boiled description of it. Mm-hmm. But before we get into what this movie is actually about, I am curious because we both saw the trailer for this originally and both of us were uninterested.
Yeah, we were.
Because I feel the trailer really doesn't...
It didn't do a good job.
I actually went into this movie, I was I don't know what this is about. Everyone's just really loving it.
They came out of nowhere too because, we both saw, whenever we saw the preview, we were just I was I'll see it because Leo's in it, but I kind of was not excited to see it. And I love Paul Thomas Anderson. There Will Be Blood is one of my favorite movies. I mean, he's obviously a genius.
Yeah.
Filmmaker, but I just was not super interested in this one. And then once it came out, it felt like everyone and their grandmother was saying how amazing it was. It was the greatest movie they've ever seen. It actually was really irritating on Twitter. People kept doing this thing where they were going into the about to see this, and then they would quote it and go, "Holy shit!" And I'm like, okay, it's not I didn't come out of the movie feeling that way. I wasn't
it was a great film.
It wasn't mind-blowing, but I did really enjoy it.
Yeah.
But I do think that they didn't do a great job with the trailer. It didn't really draw me in.
I think because someone was saying there's 2 trailers, and one of them was just kind of a little bit more vague. And I actually have a little bit of a qualm with the marketing of this film in that, obviously, Leonardo DiCaprio is a big A-lister star. And when we get into the description of the movie, it's about like people of color, the way that they're treated. It's kind of like a little bit farcical in that sense, but the movie, like at the heart of the movie, is about like these people who have been like oppressed in general. And so something kind of rubs me the wrong way about Leonardo DiCaprio just being like the face
star.
of that.
Yeah.
And I understand, like, for the plot, it made sense that he's just kind of like a white dude.
Yeah.
But I was like, okay, I think like the trailer was just like, this is a Leonardo DiCaprio action film and not really like getting across like what it was. And that's like a qualm that I just really kind of, while I was watching it, like thinking back on the trailer and stuff, I kind of was just like, could have been better.
Yeah.
Could have been better marketed. And
I felt that way too, watching the movie even.
Yeah. And even like now, like, you know, Leonardo DiCaprio's been doing a bunch of different like podcast interviews and stuff. And again, I understand he is like the star, but I feel like there's other like people in the movie that I'm like, there's just something kind of interesting about that to me.
Like Chase Infinity, who again, this is, I think like you said, this is her first movie. I feel like she has not been doing nearly as much press as Leonardo DiCaprio.
And Regina Hall did, like, she went on Amy Poehler's podcast, but, like...
Regina Hall has been doing a lot of press for it, but I felt like she was so underused in this movie. I love Regina Hall. Like, she's just, like, one of my favorite people.
Yeah.
She's amazing. And I was, like, I wanted to see way more of her in the movie.
And it's interesting because there's a lot of funny moments in this, like, kind of serious movie. And someone was saying, like, you know, PTA, we're just going to call him that, he had the opportunity to really, like, use Regina Hall humorously, but he made her very serious, and that's almost more powerful.
Yeah.
But then it kind of, like, falters a little bit on, like, she's just not in it enough, I think.
I wonder if her scenes were cut or something, because it did feel like...
Yeah, there was at one point, like, well, we'll get into this, but I was just like, I don't know what happened to her. But, so, let's get into kind of, like, what happens in the movie. I broke it down into, like, a 3-act structure, but really, like... The first act, to me personally, thought was a little bit slow because I kind of just wasn't, again, I didn't know what this movie was about. Like, I just was like, what's going on? But it does, I think, a good, like, stage setting for the rest of the movie tonally. So it opens with Leonardo DiCaprio's character, whose original name is Ghetto Pat Calhoun, and his, I guess you would say, girlfriend, Perfidia Beverly Hills. What a name. Yeah. Every time they say, I'm like, Perfidia, which I'm
Beverly Hills.
Yes. I'm going to get into like the names and the meaning later, but they're breaking out immigrants from a detention center in California, and they're members of this far-left vigilante group called the French 75. And so what I think is interesting about this movie is that PTA really had the idea for it. He said like 20 years ago. He's kind of been like working on it off and on, and you can kind of see that in the work. That it's interesting that like you're gonna get like a huge like time jump later on, but just kind of like what the stuff that they're dealing with and the things, it's like both timely but also like evergreen,
timeless.
You know?
Yeah,
there we go. Yes, timely and timeless, and I think that that's very interesting. But anyway, so it starts out with like this really like kind of jarring opening of them like breaking people out, and you're kind of figuring out who it is, and Perfidia breaks into like this trailer where Sean Penn's character, Colonel Lockjaw, which is like a perfect name for him, is sitting, and she humiliates him by like kind of forcing him to have an erection, but he's like also kind of into it, and she also seems maybe a little bit into like the power of it.
Yeah, I don't think she's into him, but yes.
But it kind of starts like he grows this like sexual obsession with her that you see throughout the film. And so then like so also Perfidia and Leonardo DiCaprio are like they're getting it. Yeah. Like they literally are like making out in the back of a car. They're like trying to assemble guns. They're lovers. And like, yes, they are loving. And so it's just, and they have kind of like a nice relationship, if not somewhat interesting, but you like flashes forward a few months and Perfidia is pregnant. But you've also seen a scene before that where her and Sean Penn have had like this kind of sexual encounter, but it's a little bit vague. So you don't really, to me personally, like, I just didn't think about this that much. But the way like, the scene of her being, like, they show her pregnant, her, like, she's wearing this crop top, belly full, like, 9 months pregnant, belly full out with a machine gun, target practice, just, like, next to the belly. It's kind of wild.
That felt unsafe to me.
Yeah, I was like, I just imagine the baby in the womb just being like, whoa! But, and it's interesting because, like, Leonardo DiCaprio and Regina Hall, their characters are, like, sitting on the side, and at one point, like, I think Perfidia's, like, drunk, like, next to a fire, and Regina Hall's character is, like, it's like she doesn't even know that she's pregnant.
Yeah.
And I think that's interesting because this movie is dealing with so much, and I don't think it gets really brought up enough that it's really dealing with these concepts of motherhood, where it's, like, this person who maybe, like, does or doesn't want to have a baby but is having a baby, and like kind of dealing with like, I'm a revolutionary, I will kill someone, but also like, I'm having a baby. And it's interesting because it's like, men, if you're a revolutionary, obviously don't have to deal with that, but women, it's like, well, I'm gonna rest my machine gun against my pregnant belly, and that has to be okay. And so I think that that's really interesting. But then once like Perfidia goes into labor, or like has the baby, she almost has this like jealousy of the baby in the beginning, where and I would say it's almost like a postpartum depression, where she just sees like Leonardo DiCaprio with the baby, and she says, she's just like, I carried that baby for 9 months, and like all he can focus on is her. And I think it's an interesting thing because I don't think that this movie shames Perfidia, but I don't think it's like kind to her either. It's just kind of like this is what she's feeling, and like that's what she's feeling, which is interesting. And it's clear that she's like going through something. And so her and the revolutionary group, the French 75, they go and they break into this bank, and she shoots someone, which you can tell by like other people's faces. It's kind of a shock, like that was not part of the plan. And so then like the whole hit job goes wrong. She gets arrested. She's in the hospital, and Sean Penn, Lockjaw, sure enough, shows up, and he's just like, I love you. And she's just
he's like, if only you had a relationship with someone high up who could
Yeah.
get you out of this situation.
Yeah, it's very interesting because he makes it clear it's like you have to essentially rat out your cohort or go to prison for life.
Yeah.
And so she does, and they put her in witness protection, and she's kind of like in this just middle America house or whatever, and you can tell like this just isn't her. This woman had a machine gun against her pregnant belly.
Yeah.
And it reminds me almost like, I see this trope sometimes, like it reminds me of The Handmaid's Tale a little bit, where like June, the main character, is so used to being like, I'm fighting for something, I have some sort of purpose, that when they get like a sense of like peace or calmness, it's almost just like, well, I just don't. They're
bored, yeah.
They're bored. They're like, I did have a purpose before. So I think she like, it's actually this interesting moment that like, I almost thought, I don't want to say that Sean Penn's character is sweet in any way, because he's fetishizing black women, and then later on you'll see like his white supremacy come out. I actually laughed. There's a point after the baby's born, he like finds Leonardo DiCaprio in the grocery store, and he's like, was it a boy or a girl? And Leonardo DiCaprio goes, a girl. And he was like, he said something, he's like, I love black women.
No, he's like, do you love black women?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And then he's like, I do. Or something like that. And so you can like see how problematic it is.
Yeah.
But so then Perfidia ends up being like, she literally leaves a note that says, this pussy don't pop for you, which is iconic. And she pieces it out to Mexico. Meanwhile, Leonardo DiCaprio, his new name is Bob. He has to go into hiding. Like the French 75 set him up with like new identities, a new place to live, with this baby girl who they put in like a basket. I was like, whoa, this is like some... was it
Moses?
I was going to say Noah. Yeah, Moses kind of thing. They put her in a basket, put her in the front seat, and now they have a new life. Flash forward to 16 years later, and they're living their life. So that's like the setup for this movie.
Yeah.
And the thing is, this is like the first 40 minutes, and it's not really that humorous.
Kind of giving Les Mis when I think about it.
Yeah. Well, I've never seen Les Mis, so I don't know.
Movie assignment.
Ooh.
Play assignment. Can I give you a play assignment?
Yeah, that's fine.
Can I tell you to go watch a play?
Oh my God, remind me to tell you that Chris and I watched a 6-minute Scorsese film this weekend.
Oh.
It's called The Big Shave.
Yes, I have heard of that.
We just randomly,
Is he in it?
No.
What am I thinking of? There's also
There's a man with a unibrow in it.
Oh, okay.
Anyways, And so that's the setup. The first part is like, there's not like a lot of humor in the first part. It's really setting it up. You're really getting to know like, what is this structure? And again, what I think is interesting is like, there's this whole revolutionary group that feels both familiar and foreign. Like, I don't hear a lot, like, they're literally, like, blowing up buildings, and, like, it's like, you don't really see that happening in America, but it doesn't feel too far from the truth, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, too much. But I think Sean Penn, I mean, he's a real standout role, and he
really is.
And here's the thing, I don't like Sean Penn's character, but there's a moment when he goes to see Perfidia, and he's like, he's said before, he's like, I love you, do you love me? But he's obviously fetishizing like black women, but he goes with like this big thing of roses to her door to go see her, and you're just kind of like, huh. And it humanizes him a little bit. His desires, I think, there are certain desires in the movie that humanize him, and then he just progressively gets worse.
Well, I saw more of like a possessive thing. I didn't see it as sweet at all. I just saw it as like, I think he thinks it's sweet, but I don't think he was evil. Sean Penn, though, I'm not a huge Sean Penn fan, but then I watch him act and I'm like, damn, he really is an amazing actor.
His acting, like, I'm not kidding, it gave layers to a role that would just generally be like a hated dumb person.
And he also had this thing where he walked, and he walked in you have to see the movie if you haven't seen it, but he walks in this very distinct way. Yes. He's such a like military, I was like, he's not really a military man, but he just really puts his all into a role. Like, it's crazy.
Put his pussy into this.
Yeah.
He walks like his name is Colonel Lockjaw.
Exactly.
And it's interesting because the shout out friend of the pod, Spencer, was saying this week, and he was like, yeah, like the other guy who was in the film, and I said, it's Sean Penn, and he was like, that was Sean Penn? And I was like, yeah, he does look different than, I mean, he's obviously aged, but also like, I actually respect his aging because I think he looks a lot different than he did when he was younger, obviously, but I don't think he's had like a lot of work done. Like when I saw him in the Charlie Sheen documentary, it was kind of striking because I hadn't seen him in a while, and he looked rough, but kind of in like rough.
I've seen him a lot in this press tour, and I'm like, he looks rough.
But he looks like he's lived a life. Like he doesn't look fake, and that's what I appreciate about him.
Yeah.
But anyways, so that's kind of like the first part of the movie. So Act 2 is really where it starts to get like, we're hitting some notes, we're chopping it up. And that's when you see that Bob and Willow, Leonardo DiCaprio and Chase Infinity, this really becomes like a father-daughter movie in a way. And I think it's interesting because Paul Thomas Anderson has teenage daughters, and he also has biracial teenage daughters, and so I think he brings a lot of
Maya Rudolph is his wife.
Yes, I think he brings a lot of those tones in. Like, there's literally a line that Leonardo DiCaprio says to Benicio del Toro where he's like, I don't know how to do her hair. Like, I don't know how to do mom stuff. Like, I don't know how to do her hair. And it's undertones like that I think make it feel very real. But I think throughout this whole movie, all of even like the sub characters feel very real and realized, and that's like really important. But anyways, they open up on this scene where it's like such a typical father-daughter conversation, but also like a little bit not, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Where she's like being a bratty teenager, and he's just like, oh, come on. But like he's come home at like 6 a.m. and she's like, where were you?
She takes care of him.
Yes. But at the same time, he's like, you need to keep this, like, he has a special tracker that they gave him when he first left on. And she's like, why? Why do I need to do this, Dad? And he's like, for your safety.
Yeah.
And it's interesting because there's this, I was, like, listening to this review that talked about, like, this dichotomy of, like, older liberals versus young liberals that you really see here where, like, literally Leonardo DiCaprio 15 years ago was, like, blowing up buildings and like rescuing people, but now his daughter, like, she has friends coming to the door, and he was like, well, what are their pronouns? Is it he or they or her and his? And she was like, it's they, them, it's not that hard. And he goes, I'm just trying to be polite. And it's just very funny because it's like, no matter how like radical or liberal you are, I think you just can't help that you're gonna be old.
Yeah.
You're just gonna age.
Yeah.
It's just very funny. And like that's when he really starts, like, the friends come to the door and he's like, what's up, homies?
Yeah.
What are you doing? What are you guys doing tonight? And it's just like, he is such a good, goofy dad.
He is, yeah.
Because the thing is he a good dad? No, but
he's like baked the whole time.
Yes, he's high as a kite, but he's a loving dad. Like, you can tell throughout everything. Like,
although he did give her a hug. I don't know why I noticed this, but when he was giving her a hug goodbye, he did like the pat that guys do to each other, where they like they go like they pat like the back, and I was like, that's your daughter. Why would you hug her like that?
he seems like a weird dad.
Yeah.
And it's interesting because I think his daughter is at this stage that I think every child gets to where you're like, oh, my life is normal because it's all I've known. And then you like turn 16 and you're just like, maybe some things my parents do are weird.
Yeah, I'm like not supposed to have a cell phone. Like she's not supposed to have a cell phone.
Yeah. I mean, for most of us, it's like not that crazy of things where you're just like, wow, my parents don't like seafood. Yeah. Other people do. But hers is like, oh, my dad, we have fake IDs.
Yeah, yeah.
But anyways, so she is going to this dance. It's like a 1950s dance. But while this is happening, Colonel Lockjaw is back in the picture because he's been asked to become a member of this society called the Christmas Adventurers. And they're a far-right group of wealthy and powerful white supremacists. But Lockjaw, they're like, we're going to have to do a background check. And he realizes he can't be accepted in the society because he might have a biracial child in the world. And so he has to like who is Willa, and tries to track her down. So I actually hadn't pieced together the possibility that maybe Willa was his daughter.
Was worried because he'd had that relationship.
Me too. Until they started doing this, and I was like, oh, I guess maybe it is. Because the thing is, like, when Perfidia and him, like, have relations earlier in the movie, you don't, like, see it explicitly. They're doing non-baby making activities. You know what I mean? And so I guess it's supposed to be assumed that they eventually, like, have sex. But I never assume that of people. You never know. So anyways, so he has decided, he's like, I have to track her down. And he basically, like, is in charge of this, like, military group that's, like, fighting immigration, I guess. And he basically goes to, like, the commander. He's like, give me a reason to go to this city, which is the city where Willa and Bob live. And they're like, sure, let's say we're cracking down on, like, underground crime units or something. And so they do, and that's when they literally break up this high school dance, and it makes me laugh because they break it up during, like, Mo Bamba is playing, and I was just, like, in the movie, I was like, okay, the music in this movie is really, like,
loved the soundtrack.
The soundtrack, it, like, is, I wrote down who did it.
The music is, it's Johnny's.
It's Johnny Greenwood who does the music, like the score.
The piano, it's such a distinct piano piece, like, it's...
Because sometimes it'll just be like... Yeah, and it's actually well done. But
then also like the music used in the movie was loved it.
It's very well timed. Yeah. But anyways, but during that's when Regina Hall's character comes back into play. And she has rescued, her name's Deandra. She has rescued Willa from the dance and is like, hey,
we got to get out of here.
We got to skedaddle. Yeah. And I think that's when Willa really realizes, like, oh, my dad's not crazy after all. He was actually preparing me for something. Yeah. And so they, like, hightail it out. And they... Colonel Lockjaw's, like, little minions are starting to, like, cause all this trouble in town. But they're also, like, interviewing some of the students. Were like, do you know Willa? Do you have her phone number? And everyone's like, she doesn't have a phone. She doesn't have a phone. Until eventually, they never explain why this one student, the whole time, they're like, oh, she doesn't have a phone number. I don't have her phone number. And then at the last second, they turn around and they just go, actually, I do have her number. So, they never explain why they changed their mind, but I guess it's just to, like, really highlight that she does have a secret phone that she's hiding from Regina Hall's character, who's like, do you have a phone? She says no. Yeah. And then she finds out she has a phone. She's like, you idiot. They're going to track us. Which is really interesting. But then, meanwhile, so Bob, Leonardo DiCaprio, gets a call that his, daughter has been taken, basically rescued.
This is my favorite scene of the whole movie.
Yes. And the guy, his name is, Comrade Josh, I think, or something.
How do you remember that?
Because I was reading a thing about it. It's just funny. His name's Josh.
He sounded like a Josh.
Yeah. And he's just like, hello, this is a whatever call. And he tells him. And, like, literally, before this, Leonardo DiCaprio is literally just, like, taking a drag of a blunt. Yeah. And he's like, what? Where's my daughter? Like, tell me where the rendezvous point is. And the guy on the phone goes, okay, I'll tell you if you can just answer one question. What time is it?
Yeah. Well, up until that point, he knew all the passwords. Like, there was, like, a whole... Because it's this underground network. And so Leo has to kind of remember, like, all the passwords from, 16 years ago that he knew. But when he asks him what time it is, he cannot remember it.
And he says, he's like, listen, I've been drinking.
He was like, I'm baked. Like,
yes, he's like, I cannot remember what time it is. And the guy's like, well, then I can't tell you. And he's just like, literally screaming on the phone. He's like, are you fucking kidding me?
Like, you gotta help me out here.
Tell her our daughter is.
Yeah.
So then that starts this whole, like, this is, like, one of the best parts of the movie, I think, where Leonardo DiCaprio, he has to, like, figure out how to charge it's his phone, so he does have a phone, but I don't remember why he's charging it, actually.
It's not a phone, isn't it? Like,
it's like a cell phone.
A tracker type thing?
Yeah.
It's something like that.
So he, like, goes to, this is where Benicio
del Toro.
Yeah, Benicio del Toro.
Because Willa, we didn't mention this in the beginning, but she does
like karate. So and he's her sensei. His name's Sergio. Yeah. And he goes and Leonardo DiCaprio's like, man, you gotta help me, whatever. And
why did he go to him in the first place? That's what I wasn't sure about.
I don't know. I guess maybe because he knows, like, he has connections. Because that's the thing is, like, they live an isolated life, but also not really. Like, before that, like, the night before, Leonardo DiCaprio was trying to get Steely Dan's tunes on, like, his local band or whatever. Yeah. So he must know that he has, like, a network or something and that he'll, like, help him in a way. And Sergio's just kind of like, yeah, man, like, okay. And he's calm, making his calls, like, cool, calm, and collected.
He's such a I almost thought he was, like, better than Leo in this movie. Yes. Like, I loved Leo in this, but Benicio del Toro is still somehow, to me, very underrated. Like, I love him so much.
Me too. I think, like, and I have a question about, like, your rankings of the people in this movie later, but I just think, like, so then it's like this sequence of events where they're going, he's like, he says, he's like, I'm running like a Hispanic, like, Harriet Tubman. No, he says, I've got a Latino Harriet Tubman situation going on at my house. And for some reason that was such a funny line. It was very funny. And I think, like, so then, like, this is my favorite sequence of Leonardo DiCaprio is going to Benicio del Toro's house it's like above a store. So he's, like, constantly trying to, like, charge his phone, but Benicio del Toro keeps being like, come on, we gotta go to this.
My favorite scene was when he literally, like, not to interrupt you, but he was saying, he's yelling to somebody else, like another kid. He's like, get off your phone or whatever, and Leo thinks he's talking to him, and he's like, I'm trying to charge, like, I can't explain it, but him being in the background, like, I don't know why it made everyone laugh, like, it was so funny. And I think this is where really, like, the side actors, or just, like, the extras come into play, because you see, I don't know how big this building is, but they just keep going from room to room, and it's just, like, families, children, his family, and, like, you can tell, like, they're trying to get these people out, like, so they go into these underground tunnels, but you're just seeing, like, all the different sections, and it's like there's this kid on a skateboard who comes up and he, like, gives them some information, he disappears, but he comes back a little bit later, and this is one of the most, like, beautiful scenes to me. So, like, eventually Benicio del Toro's like, okay, you gotta go with these kids on the skateboard, like, it's a bunch of teens, and he's like, they're gonna take you to safety. So he does, and they're, like, going across these rooftops on their skateboards,
or just, like, jumping with their skateboards. One, they, like, jump over as, like, probably a 16-year-old could do.
Yeah, they're doing, like, parkour.
Yes, like. And Leonardo DiCaprio is just like, oh, and he's, like, trying to climb up the ladder. But anyways, so meanwhile, the town that they're in is literally, like, burning and being gassed because Lockjaw has, like, sent his troops in. So it's like these kids are just, and I say kids, they're probably like 17, 18, teenagers. Are, like, jumping over these buildings, and you just see their silhouettes with, like, the fire burning behind them. It was kind of
giving Mary Poppins a little bit. What? Do you know what I'm talking about in Mary Poppins when they're on the roof?
Yeah. I didn't think about that.
I don't know why I thought of it.
I could see that. But the funniest, like, I literally laughed so hard, is so, like, they jump from one building roof to another, and then Leonardo DiCaprio goes to follow them, and you just think he's gonna make it, and he does not, and he falls 40 feet in between these buildings. He gets up somehow, is tased.
Oh, yeah.
And then taken to the hospital. And this is where, again,
because you really don't think, you're like, oh, he didn't get away.
Yeah.
Damn, they got him.
And this is where I think, again, the side actors do really well. So, the intake woman.
Yes, I was actually gonna say that, not to interrupt you, but both at Benicio del Toro's place, I was like, these probably aren't actors. They seem like
real people?
Yeah, real people. I don't know, but I thought that about the intake woman at the hospital, too.
Because she says, she's like, do you have diabetes? And then she silently is, like, nodding her head for him to say yes. Yeah, she's like, you have to go to the hospital. And then he does, and the nurse comes in, and she's like, okay, I'm just going to take your insulin levels. And then she's like, you're going to go out through this back door, blah, blah, blah. And he's like, what? And he's like, right now? And she's like, yes. And, like, just the way they did it, I'm just like, phenomenal. But meanwhile, while this is all happening, so Willa is still being like transported to this place. It's the
It's a nunnery.
It's a nunnery. It's called the Sisterhood of the Brave Beaver is the name of the nunnery, and they grow weed. And while there,
but isn't it the women of the French 75?
yeah, I think so. Yeah. And again, we'll get into the names a little bit later, but while it's interesting. While there's this really scene that like kind of caught up with me where it's like the first night or whatever, and she's just like by herself. Willa is in bed and she's just crying so hard because it's basically like her whole life has just been turned upside down.
You're in a nunnery.
She thought she was at a 50s dance with Mo Bamba playing, and now she's hiding in a nunnery.
Convent, I guess.
Convent. I don't know what the difference is.
I don't know.
But and then you like see this whole scene with the Christmas adventurers where it's like they have their own set of like very wealthy like secret underground tunnel things where they say they're like, we heard that Lockjaw maybe has a biracial child and we need to take care of the situation.
Yeah.
And so now she doesn't know this, but there's another person like going after Willa. And so
played by Tony Goldwyn.
Yes.
He was really good.
He was really good. And so I would say like the end of like Act 2 is basically just Lockjaw being able to kind of pinpoint where she is because she asked like this gas station owner and he's just like, yeah, I mean, I saw this strange car driving down the side of the highway to go to that convent. And so we get to this scene where like Regina Hall steps up. She's like, shh. And she gets up and she walks into the hallway. And then the next thing we see is like people with guns coming in the door. And then we never see or hear from Regina Hall again.
No, they do. They
do?
He talks to her and he's like, basically, you're going to go to federal prison if you don't give everybody up or whatever.
Oh, that's right. You're right.
And then you don't see anything of her after that. So,
which is interesting. So then, like, I would say Act 3 is really like Sean Penn and Chase Infinity, like as a potential father-daughter situation. Yeah. So he like sits her down. He's like, we're going to do a paternity test right here, right now. And he brings out like basically like this wartime paternity test. Like, and you sit there and you don't know. They do this interesting scene where you can see both of their profiles like looking at each other. And I found myself being like, do they look like each other?
Yeah. Like,
and I realized like they are not related. So it wouldn't matter anyways. And this is when I think Willow realizes like, oh, this guy's a really bad guy because he just starts saying the stuff where he's just like, you were raised badly, like you have no manners, blah blah. Like he's like throwing a fucking
your shirt is tight or whatever.
Yeah, and he's like, I'm not a homo or something like that. If that's what you think. And she was like, I didn't say that. I just said your shirt was tight. And he was like, I'm not gay.
He was so weird.
But he's so funny.
No, I know.
And that's what
But
gets
also
me.
Just terrifying. Like he made me so uncomfortable.
Yeah, he really did. Because he does this thing with his mouth the whole time. You can't see him. Yes. He's just like.
Yeah. Like I didn't think he was funny. It was like I thought he was unintentionally funny, but he made me really uncomfortable.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. So you're kind of like tense and you're just like, hopefully they're not. Hopefully they're not. Spoiler, they are. They are related. And it's just kind of like this moment of like Willow realizing she's come from someone really bad that I think.
Like sad. I was like actually sad.
I was really sad for her.
Imagine him being your father.
She straight up asks him, she goes, did you rape my mother? And he doesn't really answer it. He says something kind of vague or like different. And so then
he doesn't see it that way.
Yeah. But so then he takes her to like a bounty hunter kind of like a bounty hunter type thing.
Yeah.
And who's like, I don't do kids. And he's like, okay, you don't have to like get rid of her. Just take her to this place and they'll get rid of her.
Yeah.
And so he does. And at that place, the bounty hunter basically like has a change of heart and like kills the people who are supposed to kill Willa. And so she's able to escape, take the car. But meanwhile, the Christmas adventurers, Tim Smith guy, his name was Tim Smith, has tracked her down. And this is one of the, like, not the best scenes, but, like, just a visually beautiful scene in the movie.
Yes. Everyone is like, The Road should be nominated for Best Supporting Actor at the Oscars.
Because the thing is, like,
they're a really crazy scene.
And I was thinking this while I was like, they're in that desert, but goddamn, these hills are crazy.
Those hills it was a full roller coaster.
Talk about Fergie, my humps.
So they're on it's a chase scene.
Yeah.
And that's what we're referring to, is they're going on this road. And just the way it's being filmed is like, the car is... Like, you're seeing the camera's positioned from the front view
as
of their
though you're
car.
the driver.
So he's chasing Willa. But then there's like 3 people on this road, and I'm trying to. I
Yeah,
think it's
Leonardo DiCaprio.
Leonardo DiCaprio. Because so we didn't say actually, by the way, that Sergio. Wait, what's his name? What's his name?
Sergio.
Yeah, I was right, Sergio. He rescues. He's the one who rescues
Yeah.
Leo from the hospital. So now they're in the car together, but he ends up like distracting and getting out and like getting a DUI or whatever, and because he's been like drinking while driving. And then anyway, so now Leo is chasing. He's trying to get to Willa, so he's chasing what's his face, and what's his face is chasing Willa.
Yes. So it's like, but the thing is, none of them, I think, know that Leonardo DiCaprio is behind them. Like, he's far enough behind them that they don't know.
Yeah.
But, so anyways, you're going, it's like a roller coaster. You're going up and down these hills.
Yeah, it's super suspenseful.
It is. It also made me, like, a little bit nauseous, but I also saw, so this movie was filmed for IMAX and VistaVision.
Yeah.
Which are huge, like, cameras. They make a lot of sound, whatever. But I saw, like, someone posted on TikTok, like, them watching this scene in IMAX, and I was like, that would have been, like, kind of overwhelming to me.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like I'm not describing it well enough, but it's just, like, kind of a crazy scene. But basically...
go see the movie.
Yeah, go see the movie. Willa, like, stops her car, so that way the guy behind her, she gets out and she hides. The guy behind her doesn't realize it because he's going up and down these hills, and slams into her car, and asks the Christmas adventurer, like, the code word. He doesn't know it, and she kills him. And you can kind of, again, Chase Infinity, this is her first movie. She's with Leonardo DiCaprio, Benicio del Toro.
And it was match for match. Like, she really, I would say, was definitely a scene stealer in this movie.
She was amazing.
Yeah.
And you can see in this scene, it's like she's killed her first person.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I think she does a phenomenal job. And then Leonardo DiCaprio, like, shows up afterwards, like, runs into the cars as well. And she asks him the code words, and he's like, baby, it's me. And you can tell that she's just, like, so, like, traumatized and kind of triggered in that moment. It takes her a second to realize it's her dad.
Yeah.
So, and I also forgot to mention that Sean Penn has been shot in the face before this, but this was the one moment that I went to the bathroom, and so I didn't get to see it. And Chris had told me, like, the times to go to the bathroom, but they were so early in the movie. I was like, I didn't have to go then.
Yeah, true.
But anyway, so you think he's dead, but then as they're, like, reunited and drive off in the distance, Sean Penn shows up with just an absolutely fucked up face.
Yeah.
Like, if you think he looks interesting, like, without, like, just as a person, you should see him with, like, the side of his face blown on. Yeah. It's crazy. And you're like, very Terminator style, just like, oh, he's not dead. And so you think, like, oh, this is the end of the movie, I guess. But then it shows, like, time has passed. He's had some really bad, like, plastic surgery. His face looks rough. And he's with the Christmas Adventurers again. Basically his final interview where they're just like, so what happened to you? And he says, the thing is, they make these really serious points, like, actually very funny, where he says that Perfidia, quote-unquote, reverse raped him. And even, like, the Christmas Adventurers are like, what?
Yeah.
And he's like, she wanted my power. And and it's just, like, the way they do it is so crazy. And
also,
so
that concept, the term is, like, what?
It's like, why
would you phrase it like that?
That's, like, what?
Yeah.
It doesn't even make any sense. And it's like, these white supremacists, like, hate them, but they too are just like, what?
Yeah.
They're like, we believe in some crazy stuff, but that's
I know. Imagine, like, white supremacists also being like, you've gone too far.
Yeah, like, this is too much.
Yeah.
So, and this is where, again, like, you sometimes feel a little bit bad for Sean Penn's character because you're just like, wow, look at how, like, happy and pleased he finally is. He's, like, got this thing. He thinks he's in the Christmas Adventurers. He puts his feet up on this, like, fake desk. And the thing is, they're like, this is, like, the West Coast office or whatever it was. There's nobody in this office. It's, like, an empty... I was like, why do you guys need offices? And he puts his feet up and he's just like, oh, I've done it. And then you see the smoke coming through this gate and you realize, like, oh, he's in his own personal corner office gas chamber.
Yeah.
And he dies almost instantly, and last thing you see is his body getting taken out.
Yeah.
And I thought that was really interesting, and I thought that was where, like, it was going to end. But the last scene, I think, really tied it in well, where it's Leonardo DiCaprio and Chase Infinity, and it's, like, them a few days, like, or a few, like, time has passed, and they're just he has a phone now. She's trying to teach him how to use an iPhone and take a selfie on it. And it made me laugh because like Leonardo DiCaprio like does it and he like does this little wink or whatever at his phone. But he tells her, he's like, listen, I've had this letter from your mom. I didn't want to give it to you before because I didn't know how it would make you feel. You can have it if you want to open it. Here you go. And I actually, the whole movie thought Perfidia was going to come back, and she never does. And I think actually it works better this way.
Yeah, I think it wouldn't have made sense if she had come back. I mean, she's literally in hiding. Like, she has to be.
And I think, like, the letter, it wasn't like, I'm sorry. It wasn't really like, I'm sorry I left you or I was a bad mom. It was basically just like, we tried to change this world and we couldn't, so maybe you can do better.
So, it's interesting. It is a nice ending. I was like, how did she get that letter to them?
She probably mailed it, she probably to one of her contacts or something.
She has no contacts.
Yeah, that's true.
Was like the whole thing was she gave everyone up, so she would have no contacts at this point.
Yeah, I don't know. I didn't think about that.
Yeah, I was like that. So I wasn't sure if maybe she had the letter when she was a baby, but then that's not what
maybe.
I don't know. I was trying to figure out if maybe the letter was literally from like when she was a baby and she had written that to her like from the beginning, or if she had mailed it. And I got the idea that she had somehow mailed it, but I was like, that doesn't make sense. There's no way she would have been able to get that to them.
Yeah, I never thought about that until you just said that.
Yeah,
but it's touching.
It is touching.
And it ends with like there's like they hear on the radio like Will is like, oh, there's been like a raid in whatever city, and he's like, that's 3 hours away, and she's like, well, I'm gonna go, and he goes, okay, well, be safe, and she goes, I won't.
She's like going to school.
Yes, and as she's like driving away, it's like Tom Petty's American Girl plays, and it's just like very good. It's just a good solid ending.
It really was, and it was also, I kind of forgot that it was a PTA film. Like it was so there was like a lot of humor in it that I don't feel like is in a lot of his movies. So I was a little surprised. It didn't really seem like him.
But I think the humor really is what made it stand out and made like the emotional impact, because it's like what Eddington wanted to do, but better.
Yeah, I did see a lot of people saying that.
Yeah, and it's like there's so much going on in here, and again, I think like the side characters being fully realized is like, so like even there's this one military officer who's like interrogating the high school students, and you're just kind of like, he's scary, but he feels like a real person.
Yeah, I bet they did use a lot of like real people in this movie.
Yeah.
PTA, this is like a small thing, but PTA and Maya Rudolph's daughter had a little cameo in the movie. She was one of the nuns.
Oh, really? I didn't know that. Well, I love that. And so I think it's interesting, like, this is the first time that PTA and Leonardo DiCaprio have worked together, but apparently PTA had said he's always wanted to work with him since he saw Gilbert Grape. Which is one of my favorite Leonardo DiCaprio movies.
Really? I can't watch that movie.
It's just so rough. Unique.
It is unique. I think it's a good movie. I saw it and it honestly traumatized me. Like I don't think I could ever watch it again.
Yeah. So he had wanted to make it for like 20 years, and he said he just kept getting distracted, and he was trying to find the perfect Willa, and he couldn't. And then eventually, like, I forget who it was, but someone was just like, now is the time. Like, I was gonna say, I feel like
now really was like, I'm sure he realized like there was probably like something missing from it, and then it was like once now. Nothing that I'm saying makes sense, but I feel like now he realized like now is the time to come out. I also think like Leo and him are like such a good match, so I feel it makes sense that for him to be in one of his movies.
Oh, absolutely. I think like the character of Bob is just perfect.
Yeah.
In his robe the whole time.
I know, it was very the dude or whatever from what's that movie called?
The Big Lebowski.
Big Lebowski.
And so I wanted to talk about like some of the naming conventions, because Perfidia Beverly Hills is like just an iconic name, but I didn't know this. Apparently Perfidia is a term for someone who is like a traitor, basically, or like is not loyal. And they end up playing the song Perfidia, which is from Casablanca, when Perfidia like leaves goes to Mexico or whatever, which I think is really interesting. Then they also have Jungle Pussy is one of who's also a rapper named Jungle Pussy.
I know. My favorite line in the movie, or one of my favorites, was when they were talking, and like you said, they'll say something in such a serious tone, but it'll be like the funniest line. like they're talking about her, and then what's his face? Tony Goldwyn is like, so no more pussy. And like
Yes.
he's talking about like jungle pussy.
Yes. It's so funny.
It was just
and like
so
even the
funny.
sister to the brave beaver is funny because
That
like
is, yeah,
you
Beaver.
know what Beaver, we know what that is. The Christmas Adventurers Club
Yeah.
and they all go hail Saint
Everyone
Nick.
was like dying laughing at
Yes.
just that name.
But it like fits.
yeah, definitely.
Colonel Lockjaw fits. There you go. And even like Bob.
Bob.
There's no double meaning to that, but Bob.
Willa, I love that name.
Yeah. It's a cute name. It's not her real name though. Her real name is Charlene.
Mm-hmm.
I believe.
Which is weird that they named a baby Charlene.
Yeah. I guess people have done that. Like people have named Charlene. It just feels like such an adult name.
It does, yeah.
It's like if you name your baby like Sharon or something, you know? But I think like overall, it's interesting because again, I saw like head to toe, everyone has been loving this movie. I think the only critiques of it are, I saw that someone was saying like, I wish Perfidia had more motivations than just like being a black woman. Like they just really don't expand on her character that much besides like, she just has like these emotions and these things that they don't bring up. And then, like I said, like the marketing where this is clearly a film about like people of color, people who are oppressed, like, but it's Leonardo DiCaprio's face just everywhere being like,
yeah,
what's up guys? But he's going to be the draw, you know, like people are going to come for a Leonardo DiCaprio film.
And I really don't think I'll ever say, like, I don't think I'll ever tire of Leonardo DiCaprio. Like, no matter what, and he may be problematic in real life. I feel like we really don't know. He's like the most mysterious man. Like he to me is like great, is Gatsby. Like I don't know.
Yeah.
But I think whenever I see him, I'm like in a movie, I'm just like, damn, he really just is that bitch. You know?
Yeah.
He really is always. He is that amazing.
Yeah.
Always.
And it's interesting because I was listening to this podcast, I think it was the Big Picture podcast, where they were saying, they were like, you know, you see, he's been in a lot of roles recently where he's like kind of bobbish, where he's just
right.
like, he's kind of like acting a little bit like
he reminded me a lot of his character in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
Yeah. Or even in, what's the long movie that just came out like a couple years ago? The Scorsese movie?
Oh, Killers of the Flower Moon.
Killers of the Flower Moon, where it's like, oh, he's kind of just like a little bit of a fool.
Yeah.
But then it's like, okay, he plays this character well, and that's like kind of who he is. And then you see him on the red carpet in a suit, and you're just like, oh, right, you're that bitch.
I know. And he's also just, he's so funny. Like, I always forget how funny he is.
His comedic timing is really good, I think.
Yeah, definitely.
And I think it makes it funnier because it is Leonardo DiCaprio, and he's such a serious actor, so to see him fall 40 feet from a building in a robe is just, like, makes it even funnier. But I was just gonna say, like, so I think, like, this is gonna really sweep the awards, I think, this year, or it's like the nominations are going to be, and it's interesting because I think like Benicio del Toro and Sean Penn, like they're gonna have to pick between like a supporting actor, like which one do you think they should champion? It's probably gonna be Sean Penn, but I think Benicio del Toro.
Yeah, I definitely think both of them should be nominated. I think Sean Penn stood out to me more, but I also, I mean, like, I loved Benicio del Toro in it.
Yeah. I think so, too. I would say this is one of Sean Penn's best roles.
Yeah, definitely.
For sure. And then, like, also for Best Supporting Actress, like, Chase Infinity versus Teyana Taylor.
Do you think Teyana Taylor will be nominated, though?
She's in, like, a third of the film, but, I mean, she does a lot of work in that third, you know?
She definitely does, and I wouldn't be surprised if she gets nominated, but I feel like in terms of, like, I think Chase Infinity really, again, she's going up against, like, the fact that it's her first movie, and I thought Teyana Taylor was good in it, but she wasn't in it enough for me to be like, oh, she should be nominated.
I definitely think, like, Chase Infinity should be nominated over.
I think so.
I think we're gonna get, like, a, oh my god, what's the adolescent's kid name?
Owen Cooper.
I don't know. I was gonna say Chase Owens. Who is that?
I think you're just thinking Chase Infinity.
Oh, okay. I just combined them.
Yeah.
Situation there where it's
Yeah.
just like, yeah, this is their first movie role.
Yeah.
Their first big role.
She
They
was like
crushed it.
22 or so, but yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Age difference, yes.
Yeah.
But like in terms of
is
still
her first
22,
movie.
your first big movie role and the people you're with is like, she's a great scene partner.
I have enjoyed watching her interviews with Tiana Taylor and Regina Hall. Like the three of them are really funny together, and
I'm sure.
it's cute.
Aw.
Yeah.
That's nice. But I mean, I think like, so it's just, again, it's really sweeping the box office, which is interesting because, again, I don't think a lot of people knew like what it was about necessarily.
No, it surprised me how good of reviews it got, and then when I saw it, I was like, yeah, I get it.
Yeah. And so our question of the week kind of like plays off of that, where I just saw like a lot of people were calling it like a defining film of like a decade or of our time. And I think like it is kind of accurate, but I think that's like very, you know, divisive.
I wouldn't say it's defining of our time, but
I think it's defining in the way of like the topics that it's handling, like the white supremacy, like the
yeah.
vigilantism, the father-daughter connections.
Yeah,
the,
that's true.
You know, the immigration issues. Like, I think it's tackling a lot of issues.
I was thinking of it in terms of, like, I thought we were saying, like, defining movie of art in terms of when you think of a movie. Whereas I would say this movie encompasses all the things of our time.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
Yeah. But so we did our question of the week this week. We asked what you guys thought was the defining movie of the past decade. And as always, if you want to answer our question of the week, follow us at Poppin' In Podcast on Instagram. We post a question every week, and we would love to hear you guys. We love thoughts and opinions besides our own, even if ours are the most accurate.
Yeah. And we are always right, but we'd love to hear some other ideas.
Yeah, exactly.
Educate us.
Yeah.
Yeah, so do we want to read the answers first, or do we want to say ours first?
Let's say ours first.
Okay.
I'm curious.
You go first.
Okay, so you're going to roll your eyes, but I really think, I was kind of hard-pressed because I was thinking about it. I really think Barbie is going to be one of the defining movies of, like, the past 10 years because not only with its box office success, but, like, again, it's, like this thing that was marketed as, like, a silly movie that was very serious and dealt with, like, a lot of serious issues. And, like, I think it's just, like, an outstanding work of art that I think really just encapsulates a time period, like, in our lives.
Yeah, I definitely agree. And I will say we did already get that answer. So I had to really think about my answer. I don't really know.
And you know what's interesting though is I also, because I kept forgetting like what a decade was, and I also kept coming up to Mean Girls as well.
That's not our decade.
Yeah, I know.
Because I mean, if we're saying the past decade, then we're saying up until 2015.
Right.
But I was thinking of it in terms of the 2020s. So that's what I was.
Okay.
So that's why I'm like unsure how far back we can go. I ended up just, the problem is there is an answer that I now know is the correct answer that two other people said. And I'm like, damn, I wish I had said that. But the one that kept coming to my head was maybe Oppenheimer, but I don't really think that's it.
I don't think so either. Like, Oppenheimer was a good movie.
Well, I think of it was in the same way that Barbie was.
It was or wasn't?
Like, if you're saying Barbie, then I'm saying Oppenheimer. Like, I think they're kind of...
No, I'm just kidding.
Well, to me, they were on the same level in terms of... I'm not saying whether one was better than the other. I'm just saying in terms of, like, cultural impact.
Yeah. But I guess, like, to me, Oppenheimer is more like a Saving Private Ryan type of movie where I think it's going to go down and, I mean, it literally takes place in the same time period. But I don't know. It's interesting because I think it was such a juxtaposition. Yeah,
and that's probably what it is. But I think... I really just couldn't think of... I just didn't want to say Barbie because I would have...
Yeah.
There's one I agree with more that I'm going to say I agree with. So we can take Oppenheimer out. I just wanted to say something.
I think I can see what you're saying because I think like the topics of Oppenheimer also like kind of apply to the topics today too.
Yeah. And we did get some really good answers that I kind of agree with most of them. Like I see where all of these are coming from. So Kelsey said Barbie.
Okay.
She said it is a hill I will die on. Brandon said Parasite.
Okay, yeah.
And I was like, that's a good one.
Yeah.
That's definitely a good one.
Class division is always like very timely for this era.
And then we had two people, and this was where I said, I wish I had said this, say we had two for Infinity War.
So I'm curious, like, because I've never seen it, why?
So it's not about even seeing it. It's like when it came out, it was, I mean, if I looked it up, it is probably the highest grossing movie of, was it Infinity War that kept going up against Avatar? They kept, maybe it was Endgame actually. But Infinity War, when it came out, like that was a movie theater experience unlike any other in terms of like, you just had to be there.
Interesting.
Like it was, and you're not a Marvel fan, so it's probably just doesn't mean anything to you, but like it really was like a huge impact.
Because full disclosure, I don't even remember that movie coming out. But
I remember it was, and Endgame probably did better at the box office, but I think like, if you go back and watch it, I don't want to spoil it, but like there's like a huge thing at the end of Infinity War that just like really changed the course of Marvel, I guess. And yeah, I would say, and so let's see, like, okay, so Matthew had said Infinity War, and then Eric also said, because of its cultural impact, Avengers Infinity War, culmination of several Marvel franchises and nothing like it has ever been done before. It was 10 years in the making. So I would definitely agree with those.
I have a thought. I was actually thinking about this earlier about how, like, you know how we have the discussions of, like, if you see who's in a film, you, like, are really interested in it, and how, like, sometimes, like, I am interested in films based on people who are in it, but not maybe as much. And I was thinking about it earlier, and I was like, it's probably because for a long period of time, it'd be like all the big actors are in Marvel movies, and I just, like, didn't care about them. So then I was just like, you know what I mean?
I, like, love Marvel.
Which is fine. I know I am an outlier.
Yeah, because I was going to say, like it is true. Like, that is, Infinity War probably is the one. But if you don't care about Marvel, then you are going to be like,
yeah,
what?
Yeah. But I was thinking about it earlier. I was like, and I think, like, I always just be like, ugh, well, all these, like, big name actors that I love are just being, like, eaten up by Marvel. And that would make me mad.
So I could be mad about it, or I can be like, well, it's actually giving good, like, it's making Marvel good. You know what I mean? Like, that's how I look at it, is I'm like, okay, we've got, like, Benedict Cumberbatch. Yes, you could say he was, like, eaten up by Marvel, but also, like, you've got this, like, amazing actor in this movie that would otherwise maybe just be, you know, I don't know. That's just an example, because some people feel some type of way.
And the thing is, I don't hate Marvel. I think I just missed the tide. You know what I mean? So, like, I've been watching it when we do the movie assignments, and I've enjoyed it, but I don't think it would be the same as, like...
Yeah, I think the problem is, too, if you get into it, too... I mean, there's just so much of it now that it's, like, I can't even keep up. I finally got back...
You were, like, whispering to me in Thunderbolts. You were like, okay, this person is, like...
Yeah, Thunderbolts, you had to, like... we already said this, but, like, Fantastic Four was great because you didn't have to know anything, really. But Thunderbolts, you definitely had to, like, know stuff. But I think... so I agree with those two.
And then Chris also said... Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
And that's a good point, because there were so many people in that movie that are now, like, you think about it, it's like Austin Butler, Mikey Madison.
Yeah.
Margot
Robbie.
Well, she was already famous by that point, but
oh yeah.
In terms of, like, people, like, coming up, sort of, like, they, like, what's her name? Who's the one? Margaret Qualley.
Oh yes, yeah.
Just all these people. And then Megan said maybe Moonlight, and she also said Oppenheimer.
I think Moonlight was, like, a distinctive film, but I don't think it's one that people are, like, considering. I don't know. Chris also said Get Out, which I could see that as well.
Yeah. I could see that too. And then also, Megan also did say Dallas Buyers Club, but I don't.
Interesting.
Yeah. I mean, or that was our question of the week. Again, if you want to answer our question of the week, go to our Instagram at PoppinInPodcast.
Yeah. But so...
Thank you.
Thank you, and come again. But I just want to get into... So you actually dropped this news for me. So I haven't, like... I don't know that much about it, but it is kind of wild that Hollywood's, like, love couple, Keith Urban and Nicole Kidman, have... taking a trip to Splitsville.
Yeah, I broke that news to you?
Yeah.
Wow. I feel like it's all that's been talked about.
But you were the first person who said it.
Yeah, probably. I
think it was like right after the podcast last week. After we recorded.
Yes, wait a minute. This did happen. So this is like a week old news, but it's because it happened right after, which always happens.
Yeah, always the biggest things, I swear.
Yeah. I mean, you guys should be calling in.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Just give us a grace period. We're just girls.
Yeah, we're just girls. But Keith Urban and Nicole Kidman, Australian royalty, are Splitsville.
Yeah.
Did you make that joke already? Did you say Splitsville?
Yeah, I did. I did just say that, but it's okay. I said they took a trip to Splitsville.
I didn't even hear that, but I guess I did.
That's okay.
Subconsciously.
Sounded great coming from you.
Thanks. It's just interesting. So how do you feel about Keith Urban? Because every time I see him, I'm like, this man just lives in the 90s. Has he ever changed his hair?
What song is he famous for?
I don't know.
Also, like, yeah,
he's a country singer. I don't.
I'm gonna say something really strange. Like, sometimes I think about people in their private lives, and I'm like, just imagine. I'm just gonna say this: having to fuck Keith Urban with that hair, where it's just like he has more highlights than a golden retriever.
Yeah,
you know, like
he does. It's crazy. He looks like he's still in the early 2000s, or 90s, or whatever.
Like, I don't think you can even find those jeans anymore. No. The ones he wears, like he's wearing like a little vest, he's in Green Day. Like, what's going on?
The thing about Keith Urban is, I feel like, I mean, yes, he's obviously a very established name in country music, but I feel like I only know him because of Nicole Kidman.
Yeah, I can't name a single. What songs does he do?
I don't know, but I also don't know country music.
And also, he's Australian, so why is he doing country music?
It was always the weirdest thing that he was Australian, being a country singer, and not only that, but they're both Australian.
Cultural appropriation.
Yeah, they're both Australian, and they live in Nashville for his career.
Can you imagine of going from like Australia to Nashville? Which, like, Nashville, I like Nashville, but it's just like,
I never understood them.
Nicole Kidman's your wife? You could live anywhere.
I never understood the two of them together either. They just, like, didn't match to me. Like, it always really bothered me. And I don't, like, who cares what I think, but I just
picture Nicole Kidman listening to country music.
No, but she was always at the CMAs, so everybody's been like, Nicole Kidman when she doesn't have to go to the CMAs anymore and, like, pretend to care.
I picture her only listening to, like, Chopin.
She listens to...
Enya.
She listens to, like, Billie Eilish.
Okay.
I heard her say that in an interview recently.
I could see that for her. And you know what's interesting is, like, she's been doing so many roles lately. Like, she's the hardest working woman in Hollywood.
I definitely think she is.
Yes, and I'm like, I wonder.
She's, like, escaping her home life. Not that.
Well, I wonder if it's also, like, I feel like whenever a celebrity couple breaks up, they've been broken up way longer than they know.
So that's the thing too. Is like. I think they have been broken up longer than it was announced.
Like, I would escape Keith Urban too. I would not want to look at that hair. No. It literally looks like, you know what not to wear when they're like, we're gonna give you like a makeover and you look astounding, and it's just like Keith Urban's haircut. And
it just really bugs me when someone doesn't change their look at all.
Like, I will say, I've had the same set of bangs.
This is coming from me, who's had the same hair probably for.
Yeah,
I don't know how
I got my bangs cut like this in 6th grade, and I, like, have never looked back.
You've changed your hair multiple times since I've known you.
Every time. I got, like, straight bangs, and then the photographer at work asked me, he was like, do you always wear your bangs like that? And then I said, not anymore.
Not anymore.
Christ. God.
Yeah, that's crazy.
I literally was taking headshots, the worst headshots I've ever taken, because I was just like, ugh.
Yeah.
But anyways, yeah, you need to change with the times, because the thing is, like, our haircuts are like,
he looks ridiculous.
Yes, he's like a 87-year-old man with frosted tips, basically.
So yes, and you know, and we can't. I mean, Nicole, who even knows what her hair looks like? But
you know what I hate?
What?
And this is like a very early 2000s look, is you're wearing a long sleeve button down and you put like a black vest over it and jeans. What the fuck are you wearing? Are you a waiter? Are you like going to a wedding?
And jeans? Yeah. Like, what are we
that's
doing?
insane.
Yeah.
Anyways.
Insane. So apparently, since it's been announced that they're breaking up, obviously they've probably been broken up for a while, but he was performing and apparently he changed. Well, it's not apparently. I think there's video of it. He changed the lyrics in his song that is about Nicole to being about his 25-year-old guitar player.
Which I think it was friend of the pod, Eric, who was like, it just doesn't seem like a compliment if someone just like, it's a love song written for someone else and they just changed it.
Yeah.
They just erased their name and put you in.
Yeah.
Like, that's so interesting.
So
and also cringe. Ew.
It's very cringe. The rumors are, and I don't tend to pay attention to rumors like that because it just seems, I'm kind of like, a part of me is like, it's their personal life. Like, we shouldn't get involved yet.
A part of me, but
I'm
like clicking on all the articles.
But a lot of
I'm outside in their bushes.
The big, like, rumor, which there's never rumors. It's usually someone's team releasing information. But I guess, like, USA Today is saying that, like, Nicole Kidman... Or USA Today, Us Weekly is what I meant.
I was like, wow.
USA Today, CNN, Us Weekly.
They're like, forget about Palestine. Nicole Kidman and Keith Urban
is saying that he was blaming. He said that he couldn't keep up with her career or something.
Yeah.
So who knows? But I don't have any.
That can't be true because she's had a pretty booming career for a while, but also his career has probably stopped in like. I don't know, 1993.
I bet it's not stopped, Alexa. It's just not in our
our
sphere.
orbit.
Yeah, in our orbit. I think
space girlies.
I think he's pretty. He's probably very stagnant, but I think he's very successful still.
Is he?
I don't know. I'm just saying.
Even the people that I know who like
still
country.
Performing the other day.
I mean, yeah, like
no, but people are obviously going to see him. We just don't.
I don't know. MC Hammer performs. You know what I mean? Like
yeah.
I don't know.
I don't know.
We'll see. I mean, I think I just want another...
I'm not defending him. I don't give a shit about this man. I
didn't think you were.
I don't care. I couldn't care less about him.
You're like, Keith Urban and those jeans, get him out of here.
The hair really bothers me. It's like, why haven't you changed your ways?
And the thing is, it takes a while to get highlights like that, and I think his natural color would have been fine.
Imagine him under the chair with like the tinfoil in his
hair. There's nothing more of an ick than that.
Maybe he wears wigs too.
No, that is straight from the dome.
Yeah, I love when you say that. You either say straight from the dome or straight to the dome. There is no other. You just only say those two things.
Yeah, that's how it is. Those are the only two things that matter.
You do have a lot of Alexa-isms. I almost said Alexia-isms.
So good luck to Nicole Kidman. I hope the best for you. I need another reenactment of her Tom Cruise divorce picture.
I know. No one was using that meme either. They were like, Nicole Kidman when she doesn't have to go to the CMAs and fake wanting to be there. And no one was using that photo. They were just using like other breaking free of the chain photos. And I'm like, use the one of her leaving the courthouse.
We use it for everything else. It's crazy.
People are dumb.
Yeah. But anyways, I want to kind of just touch on, I'm not going to go hugely into it, but a show dropped on Netflix recently. It's called Wayward, and it's from comedian Mae Martin, and it's not like a very funny show, but there are like some funny elements, and it has Toni Collette in it.
Okay, yes, now I know what you're talking about.
I really binged this show. I had no idea, like I saw no promos for it. I was like, I don't know what this is about, but basically it is about Mae Martin. Their character's name is Alex, and he and his wife, I forget the wife's name now, doesn't matter. Anyways, they moved to this town that like his wife had been in before when they were when she was younger, and basically it's a town based around like you know, Paris Hilton was taken to one of those like things as a teenager for like rebellious teens, and they rip you out of bed
like
at
a
night
ranch, and they're at like a weird like ranch.
Yes,
and it's very abusive.
Yes, and that's what it is. It's called Tall Pines Academy. But Alex, Mae Martin's character, doesn't know that, so he's just kind of like he's a police officer's first day on the job, like a teenager just covered in blood and dirt runs out into the road. And he's like, we gotta help this kid. Like, what's going on? And the other police officer's just like, yeah, like we'll find him. He's a Tall Pines student, so we'll get him returned. And it's just like this unraveling mystery that I think is really interesting. It's like not being talked about or promoted enough. And also, I just have to say, Mae Martin, hot. I think because I had known Mae Martin as a comedian.
Yeah.
And I didn't really like track it.
They have a podcast with two other comedians, right?
Okay. Yeah. Which I haven't listened to, but they like their stand up like always showed up on my TikTok.
Yeah.
And it took me like 3 episodes in to finally be like, where do I know this person from? And I was like, oh, the TikTok. The internet. And they wrote and they didn't direct it, sorry. They wrote and starred in it.
Yeah.
And basically they said it was based on a real experience when they were a teenager where their friend had to go to one of these schools, which is really interesting. And what I think is like the most interesting part, and I thought it was just me, but I was listening to this NPR review earlier today that also agreed in the beginning. So this takes place in, I want to say it's 2004. And so, but you think that there's like a dual timeline going on because so Mae Martin's character is transitioning into a man. So like there's these like hints of that brought up. So in the beginning, like it's clear that this is like a queer couple. He and his wife are. But they don't really bring that up until it's like they're in the town and people just keep saying like, no, we're really accepting here. We're really accepting. And like NPR made this joke where they were like, it really reminds you of Get Out where they're like, I would have voted for Obama a third time if I could. And so because of that, they're wearing wedding rings and I'm like, oh, I bet this is going to be a dual timeline because like, you know, it's 2004. So there's no same-sex marriage. I don't know what like the landscape in terms of like transitioning was or whatever, but it isn't. It's actually the same timeline, but what I think people have been saying they really liked about it is there is like this kind of like queer relationship at the center, but it's not a plot point, you know? Like there's these things where later on, you know, the character says like, oh, like the alarm goes off. They're like, oh, I have to do my injection same time every day. And they say like, oh, like he and his wife wear wedding rings and it's like, yeah, it's just a symbol, but like, you know, one day we hope to make it real or something like that. And so I think that that's really interesting because I think like there's a lot of queer relationships in the show between like the teenagers who are like having to be put in this academy and like some of the adults and that sort of thing. And it's just generally like accepted. And I really appreciate that because I think sometimes like, you know, we wouldn't like a story would never technically be around like someone being like, I'm straight.
Yeah.
And this is a big plot point. Like it's just accepted as like this is a norm. So I really like that. But so to get back into the mystery of it all, so like Alex is like the outsider coming into this world and is realizing like, hey, there's some weird stuff going on. Meanwhile, you also get the perspective of these two friends that end up in the academy together and kind of just like the different torturous methods that are happening. Like there's this whole thing where one of the roommates like does something wrong. So her punishment is to take all of these big boulders from one side of a courtyard to the other. Takes all day. Her roommate is forced to do it with her to show like collective punishment, and then at the end her roommate is the one who has to like move them all the way back to the other end. And it's just like these little things. And so Toni Collette stars as like the leader of this kind of cultish Tall Pines Academy, and she is really again like a standout in this role. Like she does her Toni Collette. She Toni Collette's it up, you know what I mean? Where she's like a cult leader. She's riding on one of these like bicycles where you lean back. She's got these huge glasses, and it's like comical but also creepy. And it kind of, I just think it really weaves this mystery together. And it's also like, I love the time period that it takes place because then they're just like playing like these nostalgic 2004 like songs throughout it, and you're just kind of trying to figure out like what's going on. And I think Mae Martin, like, again, this is they've done like other roles before, but this is the first like acting role I've seen them in. I think they do a phenomenal job. Like, and they mentioned that I think Mae Martin is Canadian, and I think the character is as well. And you're just kind of like, yeah, I can tell. You're like the nicest police officer I've ever seen. And I'm really not selling it, but it's just like a very good, like, a good weekend watch, you know? Like, you're just like, there's some fucked up stuff going on at the school. I wonder what's happening. And you find out that there's just like these weird therapies that they're doing on the students where some of them, it's like, yes, some of them were drug addicts or whatever. And some of them, like, one guy just says like, I forget what it was. It was just basically like, oh, I just annoyed my parents, so I have to, like, was sent to this school. And I just think it's really interesting because they play on, like, these concepts of friendship, found family, and kind of just, like, the nostalgia. Like, it really puts you in this time period of when you're, like, 16 years old and trying to figure yourself out. And some people, like, yeah, like, you know, if you're doing a bunch of cocaine at 16, like, that's not a great prospect for your future. But also some people, it's just like, I don't know, they're 16 and they're figuring it out. That doesn't mean they're going to be a bad adult. And I think they really, like, I don't know, it just has a lot of layers to it. It's just it's not the best show I've ever seen, but I think it's like a very standout, like, vibey, kind of fun and interesting show. Like, you're really like, I wonder what's going to happen the whole time.
It reminds me, I just watched the movie Steve this weekend with
Oh,
Cillian
yeah.
Murphy, and you should, I don't know if you plan on watching it, but if you do, then maybe we can talk about it next week. But I totally forgot to touch on it this week. I just didn't even think about it. But it's kind of actually a similar plot, probably a little bit darker and more dramatic. But but it's also, it's funny in some parts too, but he's a teacher at a boys' reform school. And it is kind of similar where it's like the boys have these very like, you know, they were sent there by their parents, and like one of the characters, his parents tell him on the phone, they're like, we're not like talking to you basically while you're at this school. Like, we're not going to be speaking to you. And he's like really devastated, but it's like, because he's just, you know, he's like fought with them and he's done some really bad stuff, but it's just very sad because it's like, oh, like, I don't know. It's just hard to see like parents giving up on their kids. And I understand that sometimes it's like, what else can you do? Right. But also, and a reform school is different than one of these like crazy,
right? Like
these are apparently, I don't know, like how it's really portrayed in the show. Well, I think you were saying, but like those are like borderline abusive.
It's interesting. I was listening to my favorite British podcast called Straight Up, and they talked about this show, and they were like, we don't really have that here. They're like, apparently it's very common in America. Oh, yeah. And the thing is, I wouldn't say it's common, but it's not like I didn't know anyone that went to those schools, but it's not like the concept is shocking to me. And I've never heard of one that isn't abusive. Yeah. And that, I think like that's an interesting thing. Like when people send their kids to like boarding school or like, I guess it's not a reform school. What would you call it? Like
these camps?
Yeah.
What are they called? There's like a term for it, but it's
behavioral camps.
Behavioral camp, basically. Yeah. But I'm kind of like, I'm not a parent, but I'm like, have you sent them to therapy? And is it like therapy's not working and this is just truly the only...
Because to me, like, I've never heard a good story about these things, and I'm just like, and they show, like, some of these parents are just, like, checked out. Yeah. But if you care about your kid, I would just be like, I don't like the fact that I can't call you when you can't call me if you need me.
If you've ever seen how they do it, because I've seen videos of it, and then also, like, Paris Hilton tells a very similar story where they literally come into your house, and the parents know that they're going to do this, but still, you're seeing your daughter being ripped out of bed by like grown men. Yes. While she's sleeping, she's in her pajamas and she's being ripped out of bed, screaming and terrified because she doesn't know what's happening. She thinks she's being kidnapped.
And they have the whole scene in Wayward, and it's just like seeing it play out while the parents and the sister are just kind of like in the hallway, standing like, oh, there. Shit.
Yeah, it's horrifying.
It's and like the trauma of that, like I would never be able to sleep in my own bed again. And also like
I would never return home.
Yeah, I would be
genuinely.
Like, fuck you, mom and dad. Like, are you kidding me? Like, you just
yeah.
Like, and again, like some of these people, like it's just how much you can pay. So some of them, it's like, yeah, like maybe my kid has a really bad drug problem and I don't know what to do. And some of them, it's just like, oh, they're just not the kid that I wanted them to be like.
So I do think Paris Hilton's actually lobbying for like an end to those. Yeah. Like she was...
Because she's really talked about like the abuse and stuff that went on because it's crazy.
I know. And I feel like, I mean, I assume most people didn't really know she went through that until like in the last few years. Because obviously everyone knew what she went through in her 20s. Like she went to jail and all that. But I don't think anyone knew of her like actual upbringing. Everyone just thought she lived this like very privileged life. So it's kind of weird to know that she like went through all of that before the simple life. I don't know. She doesn't seem like she went through all that. But
well, I think like the Paris Hilton we know is not like the real Paris Hilton. I think she's very much like she has a performative personality as she should, you know? Yeah. Yeah. But anyways, if you haven't watched it, check out Wayward on Netflix. I highly recommend it. And I think they left it open-ended enough to where it's like they could do a second season, but if they didn't, I think you would be still content with the ending. You know what I mean? But I think they will do a second season. I'm excited to see it. Yeah. If that's the case. But, okay, so I am curious about this next topic.
Yeah. So how much do you know about Cardi B and Nicki Minaj?
Nothing. I saw that you put this on here and I was like, I'm not going to look it up. I'm going to let Molly take me on a journey.
Yeah. So there's some beef happening.
Okay. And have they always had beef? Because I always feel like I thought they had, but I don't know.
I know. So the answer to that is yes. You feel like most people feel like they have. Right. And I'm going to kind of go into a timeline of this. I'm not choosing sides. I'm just using facts.
Okay, interesting.
Purely. I'm just kind of laying out what seems to have happened. But basically, the answer is yes, they have been feuding for a while. It kind of goes back to 2017. around 2017. So obviously Cardi B, Nicki Minaj, they're two of the most successful female rappers in the industry. Obviously Nicki Minaj started out earlier, and I'm saying that because that does come up. So she is older. She's been in this longer, but but they're both very, very successful. And so in 2017, they both collaborated on the song Motorsport, which was on Migos' third studio album.
I haven't heard that one.
And just earlier that year, so in 2017, Cardi B had released Bodak Yellow and signed on to her first major label. And obviously Bodak Yellow,
iconic,
topped the chart and kind of like really established her in the industry.
Cardi B, our good friend.
Yes, our friend Cardi B.
Yes.
She remembers us.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so before this collaboration, there's always kind of been rumors that the two of them were maybe like had lines about each other in their songs, but they've always denied it. So.
Yeah, and I always am like hesitant to believe that kind of stuff because, you know, the media loves to pin women against women.
They do.
But
however, so it is true, and they've always denied that their lines were about each other. And they even were like nice to each other on Twitter. So like when Bodak Yellow came out, Nicki congratulated her, and she was like, "We're both from New York," like whatever.
Yeah.
And so after Motorsport came out, Cardi B said in an interview, and this I kind of wasn't fully understanding. Like I'm not fully understanding the context here, but Cardi B kind of said that Nicki may have edited her verse in the single. And so like with that, there was just like rumors that Nicki edited her lines after hearing Cardi B's lines in the song. And I'm not really sure what the significance of that is. I don't know. I don't think she said anything. So I've never
heard the song.
Yeah, I'm not totally sure what the significance of that is. But that was sort of the first thing where she said something publicly about her. In an interview, she was like, yeah, I don't know what was happening, but like I think Nicki may have edited her lines. And then in April 2018, Nicki said in an interview that she was hurt by those comments that Cardi B made about their song together. And she said, with Motorsport, I kind of felt ambushed. The first thing that came out of her mouth about a Nicki Minaj feature was she changed the verse. And when it was time to clear the air about that, no one did that. And all of them allowed me to look like I lied. So that was kind of the first like public display of their feud. Maybe a feud, you know. And then, and you probably remember this, in September 2018, during New York Fashion Week at Harper Bazaar's party, Cardi B and Nicki allegedly got into a physical fight. Cardi B reportedly lunged toward Nicki and threw her shoe, or attempted to.
Oh, that's right.
At either Nicki or someone in Nicki's entourage before being restrained by security. And Cardi later claimed that Nicki had made negative remarks about her newborn daughter. And she addressed it on Instagram. She had like, you know,
Cardi did?
Yes. And she's like, I've let a lot of shit slide. I let you sneak diss me. I let you lie on me. And she basically said like, you know, you've threatened other artists in the industry, told them if they work with me, you'll stop fucking with them. And so Nicki addressed the fight on a radio show and basically denied that she ever said anything bad about Cardi's daughter. But she said that, and that's kind of all she said. But that was like the first time their feud was like actually public. So at that point, it was on.
Yeah.
From here on out. So there was just like a lot of back and forth. There was also an incident where I guess Nicki's husband, who was on probation, posted like, I suppose, a threatening video on Instagram about Offset. And then he was put on 120 days of home detention for violating his probation. And then Nicki posted on Instagram, can't call the cops every time you flop. And so, and like laughy faces. So fast forward to September 2025, Cardi just released an album called Am I the Drama?
Yeah.
And it debuted at number 1 on the Billboard 200 charts.
I enjoyed it.
Yeah, it was good. And Nicki kind of seemingly mocked the promotional price of Cardi's album because she just posted $4.99 on Twitter. Like just a tweet that said $4.99, which was, yeah. And then she altered lyrics from Cardi's song Magnet, which is from her latest album, and she like altered them into disses on, I'm saying Twitter, on X. Like she was just tweeting just a bunch of posts that just were like,
Wasn't she also like live tweeting every song of Taylor Swift's new album recently? I think reviewing it, and it's just like, oh, okay, Nicki Minaj.
Yeah.
Anyway, sorry, continue.
Yeah, and here's the thing, is like her doing that about Cardi's song Magnet, where she's like mocking it because she's making it her own lyrics. I thought it was kind of funny because it's like, you're obviously listening to Magnet then. Like, you're obviously streaming her song, which Cardi said, she was like, she tweeted, damn, she was streaming Magnet hard as hell. And so they just start going back and forth. It's like sparked a really intense like back and forth between them, which you probably saw the tweets. If you haven't, they're wild.
I don't think I have.
This is where I'll get into when I first like noticed it, but when it came across my radar. But basically, like, Nicki was, making comments about like Cardi's pregnancy, that she's currently pregnant. And so Nicki kept going with it, and Cardi responded directly to her and said, like, you keep bringing up my album is not the gag you think it is. And this is what I was referencing earlier, where she said, you've been in the game for 16 years. You need to start comparing yourself to your peers who started around your time, like Rihanna, Taylor Swift, Drake. And she was just like, I was in high school when you came out, so I don't know why you're trying to compare yourself to me. Which I'm like, fair.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, Cardi B's very, very successful. And she, not taking sides, though, as I said. And so now they're just talking to each other on X. So Nicki is now making comments about Offset. She's making comments about Culture. She calls her a culture vulture, but she uses the spelling of Cardi's daughter. Cardi's daughter's name is Culture with a K. So she's now coming at her daughter and talking about her daughter. And
isn't Nicki Minaj married to like a pedophile or something?
Yeah, that's what I was saying earlier. Well, I don't know about that, but he has had legal issues because he was the one who came in with like the taking threatening video or whatever, and then he was put on probation. And so anyway, she said culture vulture, you ugly too, in a tweet. And so now she's talking about her daughter. So Cardi she's saying like, you wish you could call my daughter ugly. Culture's beautiful, and you know that. And she's basically saying, like, your hate is very nasty. And then she says, because your son's nonverbal, because you fucked him up with drugs. And she goes on.
Cardi B?
Cardi B is now talking to Nicki about her son. She's saying he's nonverbal, and she does this like several times where she's like talking about how he's nonverbal and that, and she is saying that Nicki's a drug addict and is like did all these things, that because she's a drug addict she like messed her son up. I mean, this is what she's saying in her tweets. And then she's just like, so they're just calling each other out. They're just arguing on Twitter, not adding each other. They're just like, these are just their tweets. But they're obviously talking to each other. And Nicki says some pretty horrible things back about Cardi B's child that she's currently pregnant with. I'm not going to read them here, but if you look, they're very harsh. And they just go back and forth about each other's kids. And Cardi said something really wild there. It was really wild. And so on October 1st, Cardi responded with a letter claiming it was her final response to Nicki. She addressed her by her real name. And
what is it? I don't even know.
Annika Tanya Minaj.
Okay.
Monique?
Okay. I just didn't know that.
I'm not sure. And she said, this is my last time responding to you because this past Twitter now, and she was like, I gotta see you, but first I'm gonna tell you the truth. And she talks about, I won't detail it here, but she talks about Nicki's like trauma and abuse growing up, that she has, she really goes into detail. And then she basically says, like, you need to get help, put down the drugs. She calls her a drug addict. And
Cardi says this to Nicki.
Yes, Cardi's talking to Nicki. And she goes, and this was the tweet that got my attention. This is when I first was like, whoa, what's happening? So that's when I kind of started following it. And Nicki keeps going back to her. She's doing like, rhyming, like she's saying harsh things about her kid again. And then Cardi says she's schizophrenic and bipolar and a drug addict. And basically they keep going.
I thought Cardi said, this is the last thing I'm going to say. Of course not.
Not anymore. And then Nicki wrote a letter to Culture being like, I'm doing this for you. Like,
oh my God. To Culture. Can she read? How old is she?
I don't know how old Culture is, actually.
I mean, she's got to be like maybe 5. She's just getting, she's like, a letter from who?
Yeah, she's like, I don't have a Twitter account. I can't see this.
It's like goes through the bars of her crib.
Yeah. Yeah. And so she's basically like, Cardi's like, keep my child's name out of your mouth. Like, that's kind of where it ends. I fear it'll get worse.
Yeah.
I don't think it'll get better. It might lead to more diss tracks, but
whenever these things happen again, I just think about the PR team being like, oh,
damn.
God damn. Not again.
The attacks were so personal in this one. I mean, they were coming for each other's children.
Yes, exposing, like...
Because what she said about Cardi's daughter, I was like, damn. But then when Cardi came back at her about her son, I was like, whoa.
That's crazy.
So...
It just goes to show, like, fame is not all it's cut out to be, because the amount of people that have, like, these beefs on Twitter are insane.
And I'm going to go into another beef on Twitter, but I first just have to say, like, I mean, it also goes to show when there's rumors of feuds, sometimes it's like, oh, it's a rumor.
Yeah.
I think usually it's true.
Yeah.
And we learned that with this.
Yeah. I mean, I guess I always thought they were a feud because, like, they are kind of, like, people compare them to each other a lot, and I don't know why, actually. Like, what makes them similar besides they are black female rappers? Like, nobody's comparing, like, Megan Thee Stallion.
Right.
You know what I mean? So I don't know, like, what's going on, like, where that comparison comes from.
My thing was, where did the like, when the Harper Bazaar party event
God, to be a journalist at that party.
I know, but I'm like, well, what was the lead up to that? I think we still don't fully know. That we're still missing some information that I'm like, can someone just fill me in there?
Yeah.
I think they would, because they're very openly airing their
that's crazy.
Their issues with each other.
And I mean, she is right. She's like, okay, like, to be like Nicki Minaj, like, you need to chill. I was like, I was still a baby
was in high
when
school.
you became popular.
Right.
The thing is, like, Cardi B is obviously very successful, but Nicki Minaj, I would say, is almost equally successful for her time. Like, who's to say where Cardi B is going to be 15 years from now?
I mean, but Nicki Minaj is a household name. Cardi B is too, but I would still say Nicki Minaj is still.
And again, I always say the gauge is like, if I say it to my dad and he knows who Nicki Minaj is.
Right, yeah. It's crazy.
Yeah,
it's crazy. It's wild. So I just had to kind of go over that because I was like, well, I need to figure out this whole timeline. Where did this start?
God. Do you remember, like, when I used to get so much joy out of subtweeting someone when I was in high school and stuff?
I did that on Facebook.
Be like, on your Facebook statuses, I hate seeing. They're so
awful.
Bad. And people are like, you should go back and delete them. And I'm like, there's too many.
It's too many.
Of me, like, tweeting sad lyrics to, like.
Yes. And then the little. Like, like the frowny face, but with the side, you know what I mean?
Yeah, it'd just be like,
line.
You wish you knew me as well as you wanted to, but you don't.
Or my favorite is when I see ones, and I know exactly what I was mad about. I can still remember, but where I'm just like, ha 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 ha. Like,
yes. You're like, that'll get her. I'm like, that'll show a bitch.
Yeah, and I'm like, that's funny. Like, that's what my post will be.
You're like, she's crying at her computer.
Or it'll be like, wow, and then somebody will comment, what happened? I'm like, ugh. Like,
and you know what's crazy about doing it on Facebook is it wasn't like on Twitter when you're subtweeting, you're just like typing on your phone. Yeah. But on Facebook, it was like, I'm pulling up a computer, I'm typing. I'm clicking, clacking those keys.
I definitely went home.
Yes. And then I'm grabbing a mouse and I'm hitting post.
Yes. It's not for my Twitter followers. It's for it's like friends and family are seeing this. What is wrong?
But back then it was like, I knew, like, if someone posted something on Facebook, I'd be like, ooh, ooh. And then I'd be, like, continuously, like, looking at the comments. I'm like, ooh, what's gonna... But the thing is, I always thought, I'm like, oh, this is gonna get them. And it's just, like, some vague thing where it's like, don't you hate it when men just only think about football? And it's like, this is for Dylan in AP Bio, who I've never spoken 2 words to. This is a fake person, but you know what I mean? Where it's just like, oh, this'll show him. This'll get him.
I really, hate myself, actually.
I hate seeing those posts. And then subtweeting in college. I remember one time, like, a guy literally was just, like, sent me a screenshot and was like, can you stop subtweeting about me?
Stop.
Yes. And I was like, why are you so obsessed with me?
Yikes.
So you read it. So if you read it and you knew it was about you, maybe you should fix your fucking behavior.
You know who's not subtweeting?
Well, are they, though? No, they're direct.
They're not subtweeting. They're being quite direct. J.K. Rowling.
Yeah. Speaking of a row.
Emma Watson are feuding. A row. So,
yeah.
J.K. Rowling.
They've been feuding for a little, well, not feuding, but, like,
They have. I have kind of the
J.K.
timeline.
Rowling's off her rocker.
So so I have a theory of that, but is it Rowling or Rowling?
I always thought it was Rowling because in an interview when I was a kid, she was like, I used to hate my last name because it sounded like a row, like a fight.
Oh, okay.
But then I was listening to my British podcast and they called her J.K. Rowling.
I think we should take it from the
horse's mouth. Yeah.
So J.K. Rowling, if you didn't know, author of Harry Potter series.
Just a little known publisher here.
Yeah.
Just a little scribe.
She's feuding with one of her actors.
One of
Emma
her child
Watson,
stars.
One of her child stars. But just to kind of go into the background of it a little bit, for those who don't know, I'm sure you do if you don't live under a rock. But basically, like, J.K. Rowling has been very openly critical of trans rights. She's spoken out a lot about transgender issues.
Yeah.
And it kind of started out with what a lot of people, viewed as homophobic tweets where, she said the original tweet was people who menstruate. I'm sure there's a word for it. And she's like mocking trans women. And it got a lot of criticism. And so she wrote an essay, and this was in 2020.
Yeah.
So she wrote an essay kind of in response to the criticism, talking about the reasons why she spoke out about it. And that included, she talked about freedom of speech and that as a domestic abuse and sexual assault survivor, she has concerns about single-sex spaces. And so she wrote like a whole essay about that. And that obviously caused a lot of controversy, especially from Harry Potter fans. And I think a lot of people were just generally surprised by this.
Yeah, because she always seemed like very much like an ally.
And also I think people have just always seen like Harry Potter as sort of like an inclusive space.
Yeah, and also J.K. Rowling before all of this had seemed like just a nice person. Like she always donated all this money to different causes or whatever. And then like, I know you're going to get into it, but once you do, it's like, oh, she's vindictive.
She's vindictive. And I think, so here's the thing. And I've never been a Harry Potter fan. I've literally never liked it. That's just me. It's a very unpopular opinion.
But I had to stop reading the books in middle school because I became so depressed that I couldn't go to Hogwarts. I used to sit there and convince myself. I was like, oh, like, in the books, the owls come at 12, but like she can't make it too real because then like the wizarding world will be exposed.
How old were you?
It was like 13 or 14. I was reasoning it in my head. I was like, so they probably come out like 15 in reality.
It's funny because
in this fake reality of the wizarding world.
I mean this lovingly, but like I knew the answer to that was going to be over 12. Like I knew in my heart of hearts. No, I love that about you, but it's so funny that like.
Yeah. I was just like, God, owl, take me away. Owl, take the wheel.
Owl, take the wheel.
Yeah. Anyways, it never came.
So that being said,
Spoiler.
I remember when it feels longer than that, but it was only 2020. When this happened, I think everyone
feel like a long time ago.
Yeah, everyone was kind of like, "Oh, okay."
Yeah.
And she. So here's the thing: she started out with having. I'm not saying they're valid reasons, but she had. She had like a reason for it, I guess, and she was speaking. I'm trying to say this like without like I don't agree with her takes, but she was speaking kind of like eloquently about it, I guess. I don't know really a good way to say it, but she was having a conversation.
Right.
She has since just like you said been off her rocker about it, and it's just now it's less like talking about being like, well, this is just how I feel, to now being very openly like mocking trans rights and
like at one point people were like, oh, like, J.K. Rowling's canceled, and she tweeted something. She was like, that's fine, I'll still take my millions and like live my life.
And I realized I think it's just because she was receiving so much backlash that it's almost like she kind of went crazy. I think probably being canceled does drive someone crazy.
Well, especially I think someone for J.K. Rowling who's been like her whole career beloved,
right.
And then like I don't think she's experienced like, except for people who are like, this is devil worship, like a lot of hatred for her book. So it probably is like also she just, I think, maybe didn't know how to handle that.
I don't think so. And so it was kind of like less about making her viewpoint known and just like openly just being, making a mockery of it. And like also, I mean, she's always like doing those laugh emojis, and it's just like, okay, calm down. Like very boomer, very like the way she speaks. I'm just like, okay.
I just think like famous people shouldn't have run their own Twitter.
No. And also, I mean, when you're getting, and I'll go into this later, but she was getting like obviously a lot of criticism, and more than that, it appears that she was getting like death threats and stuff. And so she was like seemed to be like doubling down on her viewpoints to like a psychotic degree. Where it's just like she was going crazy. And again, it was just shocking to everyone. And so with that, some of the cast of Harry Potter have been very critical of her views, like outwardly, like Daniel Radcliffe and Emma Watson, namely, they've been very publicly supportive of trans rights, and they kind of have distanced themselves from JK. Her name is Joanne, isn't it? It's like Joanne something. And so after her essay, Emma Watson posted that trans people are who they say they are, and that they basically should be able to live their lives and not be questioned.
Oh yeah, because her essay was saying like that basically trans people were like faking who they are, something like that. Like they're like hiding it from people or something.
Basically.
Which is interesting.
Well, she has just said a lot about gender identity and just kind of like, saying that there is a difference, and so she was from the viewpoint, I think I was kind of saying this before, but she was sort of saying it from the viewpoint of like a safety thing, that it's like, that's where she was coming from. Yeah. And so with that, like Emma Watson was kind of saying, she was speaking out for trans rights, and she always has done that, but she was, so she was winning a BAFTA award, and Rebel, I think it was Rebel Wilson.
This is crazy.
Was giving the award, was presenting the award, and in her like presenting, she basically made a joke like about, she called Emma Watson a witch, kind of in reference to her being in Harry Potter. And Emma Watson got on stage and accepted the award, and she goes, "I'm here for all the witches." Yeah. And I wouldn't have like necessarily taken that as whatever, but like everyone, kind of was like, oh, she's referencing like they felt like that was a jab at Rowling. And Rowling herself also found it, she'll reference this later, but she also saw that as a jab at her. And it probably was. I think she was just saying like, I am here for whatever.
Which is, it was so crazy to be like, I'm upset because you're referencing trans witches. Like, what?
I wouldn't have even, of all the things, I mean, Emma Watson has like more publicly spoken about it. So I wouldn't have thought in that moment that was like a direct jab at Rowling, but apparently it was. And so anyway, so it through all this, like now Rowling has like really doubled down. It's like all of her, it's really like escalated into her just like mocking trans people and just kind of just pretty much like transphobic tweets and, just really doubling down on being canceled basically. Cause like we said, like now she is being canceled, and I guess she's going crazy because of that. And, so the kind of the most recent thing that came to head, and this is why I'm like even talking about this today, is that the Emma Watson was doing a podcast interview with Jay Shetty, which, do you listen to his podcast?
No.
Whenever I hear it, this is just me personally, I feel like it's this like very deep, like, he gets really, it's like this very existential, and whenever I hear it, it's one of those where it's so much like that I'm like, I don't feel like you're saying anything.
He sounds like the podcast version of The Secret. You know that book where they're like, if you manifest that money will come, it will come.
Yeah, it's like they're speaking, it's so much like therapy speak that I'm kind of like, I feel like they're not actually ever saying anything. So I just am never interested in the podcast, but that was just a little side note. Because there was like a revelation that came out of this one, but basically Emma Watson talked about,
and she approached him. She hasn't been like on, like she doesn't
really do interviews.
And she also hasn't been filming anything for a while. And I guess someone like told her about like his podcast and was about, and she was like, I want to come on your podcast and like talk.
Okay.
Which I think is interesting.
Well, and so she willingly, I don't know if like she wanted to talk about it or if he brought it up, but basically she did talk about the whole Rowling thing, and she basically said that she still has love for her and refuses to cancel her despite their differences. She said, quote, "There's just no world in which I could cancel her out or cancel that out for anything. It has to remain true. It is true." And she basically said that she treasures her and is thankful for what she gave her growing up.
I think it was a very kill them with kindness statement.
It was, yeah. And J.K. Rowling did not like that.
No.
And so she called basically in this like she kind of like, I think she said it in an interview, but she called Emma sheltered and privileged, and she said, quote, like other people who have never experienced adult life uncushioned by wealth and fame, Emma has so little experience of real life, she's ignorant of how ignorant she is. And again, the reason I had brought up, this is going back to her earliest statements where she was speaking out against trans rights and trans people, because she was saying that, like, based on her experience of being assaulted and abused, she is speaking out against trans rights because she thinks that it's unsafe to basically have, you know.
And what's interesting is, like, even before this, like, she was vindictive to them, where people would be like, oh, like, someone had asked her, like, what's an actor that ruins a movie for you?
Yeah,
she was like
had to do it, like, and she posted
like,
the three of them.
Yeah.
Because I think also Rupert, I didn't say this, I said Daniel Radcliffe and Emma Watson, but I think also Rupert has also been actively, like,
pro-trans rights.
Yeah.
And what's interesting, though, is, like, so J.K. Rowling is mad at Emma Watson for what she
and
said.
I was just going to say really quick, just to end what I was saying about and so she's saying with the privilege thing, she's like, you wouldn't know what it's like to be in an unsafe situation, like, because you've grown up in this privileged life that, I think she's basically saying that I gave you, you know, like, whatever.
Yeah.
But not true, because Emma Watson grew up in the spotlight and she was having paparazzi men taking pictures of her under her dress.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, so no, I think she knows what being sexually harassed is like, but okay. Anyway, continue.
Yeah, but people have been coming at Emma Watson for saying, like, that she didn't stand up for trans rights, and are basically like, oh, I can't believe that she would, like, basically say that she just has a different opinion than J.K. Rowling, because people are like, it's not an opinion, it's people's rights.
Right.
And I think it's interesting because I don't think Emma Watson necessarily said anything wrong, but I think we're just in such a divisive political state right now that if you even say something that's, like, soft-coded, people are like, how dare you not, like, take a stand for things.
And I will say, I mean, Tom Felton said almost something similar to her, yet he was, like, really dragged.
I mean, she has been getting dragged for it.
Yeah.
But it's interesting because it's like, okay,
which sucks, because it's like she's being dragged for it, and it's like, it's almost like she couldn't please anyone with that statement, because J.K. Rowling did not like that, and then she's also being dragged for it. So
and I think what's interesting is, like, on the podcast, I haven't listened to it. Apparently, it was like a 4-hour-long interview that they had to cut down to 2 hours.
Yeah.
But she had said on there, she was like, basically, this is the last time I'm going to talk about this. Like, I'll, you know, like, this is how it's affected me. Here's my thoughts on it, and I don't want to, like, talk about it anymore. Which I get, because I think, like, the thing is, it's kind of just, like, overwhelmed their lives, and now it's like every time someone asks her about it, it's like, okay, yeah, I do support trans rights, but now it's like this whole thing where, like, the 2-hour-long podcast, she talked about, like, some really deep stuff, but now I think it's gotten, like, overshadowed by this fact.
Right.
Which, again, you should use your voice and your platform to stand up for people's rights, but I think, like, and she has in the past, so I just think, like, I don't know, I don't think she needs to be, like, dragged under the bus for it.
And so, and kind of like, so the part of why J.K. Rowling is so mad at Emma Watson for her saying all that is because she said she's basically not owed anything from actors who once played a character she created, and she compared it to, like, she'd be like, that's like me still harping over, like, my boss from when I was in my 20s.
Yeah.
True. But so remember the BAFTA moment earlier, she referenced that, and she said that was sort of the turning point for her in their relationship. Again, I didn't think the moment was that crazy. There's like, I don't know. I was shocked that really, like, everyone saw that as a jab towards her. I don't know. But anyway, she did see it as that, and she said, I guess Emma Watson sent her. So Emma Watson, when Emma Watson had done that really, like, created a whole thing. Obviously, everybody, like we just said, everybody saw it as, like, a jab, and so it was, like, this big public thing. But then apparently she said that Emma Watson sent her a little note, even though she has her phone number, and said, I'm so sorry for what you're going through. And she said that note, like, hurt worse than the actual comment, because she said this was during, like, the peak of her receiving death threats and other kind of threats, and that's when they were sort of, like, it was at its worst. She had to, like, up her security, and she was constantly worried for her and her family's safety. And she said Emma had just publicly poured more petrol on the flames, yet thought a one-line expression of concern from her would reassure me of her fundamental sympathy and kindness. And so she kind of went on to be like, she doesn't know what it's like to grow up in poverty like I did. I'm like, okay, well, I don't know. But, and so she's like, so her life experiences are not the same. And so she's like, now I'm exercising my right to publicly bash her, which I don't think Emma Watson publicly bashed her. She just
it's like, she just is standing up for trans rights, but I don't think she's directly said anything about J.K. Rowling. And it's also like, the more that J.K. Rowling is doubling down, like, I'll be honest, like, the more it's like, okay, grandma, like, it's
she's
like
crazy. And also I'm like, I don't know how old she is, but I'm like, can you get off Twitter?
Yeah,
like, just talk to each other privately. I don't know, but this doesn't need to be that you just look insane.
And it almost reminds me of like a mother-daughter situation where it's like, oh, like, my mom's a Trump supporter, but I'm like a far left person or whatever, where it's just like, I think Emma Watson does have like this kind of weird relationship with this person who, I mean, did give her like, literally changed her life because of her ideas and like what she created.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean she has to like agree with everything. But it also would probably be difficult to just be like, screw you. Like, and go, you know what I mean?
Right.
It's like, she's damned if she does, she's damned if she doesn't.
Yeah,
almost.
and I think it's probably easy for people to say, like, oh, well, she should. But I mean, it would be hard. You grew up knowing her. Like, I don't know. I think, and also, so this whole J.K. Rowling thing is sort of one of the big, like, I would say it's kind of one of the major, like, can you separate the art from the artist? Because a lot of people, you know, love Harry Potter, obviously. And so it was hard, like we were saying earlier, it's hard for a lot of people to see this, have these views. And I think a lot of people were sort of against anything Harry Potter after that.
And it is really tough because I think you almost have to separate the art from the artist with Harry Potter.
I mean, lucky me, I just never read it.
Yeah, but it's like such a touchstone of our culture.
It is, yeah.
And it's different where, like, again, we live in such a, like, technology-oriented, like, information-forward world where it's different where it's like, oh, you know, I read this book from this author in 1878. Turns out they were a bad person. It's like, well, they're dead now. So it doesn't really matter, like, what, like, their information, like, you know, I'm not putting a penny in their pocket.
Right.
But it's different because it is going towards J.K. Rowling. And I think, like, that's kind of where the struggle comes in. But at the same time, it's like, I love Harry Potter. I'm not as much as some people, but it's like hard to avoid it. You know, I feel like it just was all our whole youth. I'm curious, you said earlier you have a theory about like why J.K. Rowling has been doing this.
Oh no, I already said it. It was just like, I was saying I think she's crashing out because I feel like, I mean, you kind of would almost have to when you're, I mean, she shouldn't, but I'm saying like, I think she's just going crazy probably because she's being, you know, she claims I believe it actually, she's receiving death threats and like she's, you know, obviously people are just like dragging her now. Most people like hate her now. And so I'm like, yeah, I guess you kind of like, I mean, that's probably why she's crashing out so much because it's almost like I think she's just doubling down on it. And they're so mean. They're just like, it's like she, you know, it's one, I mean, I disagree with her views because she's wrong, but I also am like, it's one thing to have views. Like she started out just like, she kind of just shared how she felt, but she's just so like brutal about it now. And she's just like mean spirited. And I'm like, ugh.
And I think especially because I didn't see her come after like Daniel and Tom Felton the way, like in the same way. I feel like she's really.
Well, Tom Felton said, he just was like, oh, I don't get into all that. Like he kind of said something which people didn't like. And he was just basically like, I'm just thankful to her for her giving her, you know, for giving me a job or whatever he said, and then just kind of said like he tries to stay out of all that, and I'm like, that's not the thing to say, but that's what he said, and
I think it's tough because Emma Watson is just like, she's such a soft, like kind, gentle person seemingly, and so like to see that, and in the interview, like again, like for all of this hate, she's talking about in the interview about how like she basically stopped doing a lot of acting and stuff because she was just like, I was so lonely. Like I would show up to sets and I would think like, okay, like we're gonna like be friends, and she was like, and it was clear like nobody wanted to like be friends with me, and I was just like living my life like in kind of this little like bubble of loneliness until she like found a group of friends recently, and that really helped her. But it's just like,
she's always been an interesting person to me. I always heard this thing of like, she went to, remember, what did she went to
Brown, and then I think she went to either, I think it's like Cambridge or Oxford she's getting her PhD right now.
I had heard this, like, it might have been a rumor. It was probably like on Tumblr. I saw it or something. But I guess like somebody made a joke, like she got something right in class. Like she answered a question and then she said like somebody yelled out like 10 points for Gryffindor or something when she got it right and she stormed out of the class. Like I'd always heard that. I don't know if it's true, but I was like, I wonder if she, like, I don't know. I feel like she takes herself very seriously.
I think she does too. And I think what's difficult is I read this thing where it was like, she took this role at such a young age that maybe like a little bit of Hermione and herself like meshed together.
Yeah.
And I think as an adult, you're like, I want to create this division, but I think like maybe it's like, where does Hermione end and Emma Watson begins? Because it's like, you don't really know because you spent so much of your formative years.
When she was in Little Women, I just was like, wait, like this is weird because it felt like, because she's not really in anything other than Harry Potter, right? Like I feel
she's
like
in
Little
Perks
Women...
of Being a Wallflower.
Oh, duh, she was in that, yeah.
Yeah. And then Little Women,
like that movie.
which again, it was fine. Again, like people were like, when she was saying that she would show up to set and she'd be like, okay, like I think like we're gonna be like friends and like a community, and everyone was really cold. People were like, well, she must be talking about Little Women. That's the only thing she's done recently.
Yeah.
Which seemed interesting because
I feel like they all got along though. Not
yeah,
that I know.
That's what people were saying. So I don't know.
I'm sure. I mean, she's probably been in other. It was probably shortly after Harry Potter she's talking about.
But she does a lot of activism work. Like
she
she's
does.
Like
I would say that's her main. She probably is set for life, to be honest. So she doesn't really have to work.
And I think her family had was well off before she even did all of this.
Which is
I used to have the biggest crush on her brother Alex. Oh my god.
gosh.
He was a model
Who
for
is he?
Burberry.
Oh.
And but he used to do these like YouTube videos back in like 2008 with him and his friend. And I think he's like a little bit closer to my age, and I just thought he was
but yeah, that's
interesting.
It's just interesting. I find it fascinating that like no, whatever Emma Watson, like what she said pleased no one. Like no one was happy with that statement. Not J.K. Rowling.
Yeah.
Because I think she was saying it sort of for her, maybe. Like she was like, yeah, I still have love for her. And J.K. Rowling's like, fuck you.
Yeah.
And then everyone else is also like, fuck you.
Yeah.
Why would you say that? It's just
It's like, I understand why you kind of, you're like, yeah, I'm just going to go get a PhD. And it's like
I mean, now I'd be like
philosophical literature or something. I'm like, that isn't real.
I don't know. Now I'd be like, fuck you, Joanne. Like, I would also be like...
I think it might be Joanna.
Whatever.
Joanna
What's
Kipling.
the K?
Rowling. No, I'm just kidding.
No.
Joanna Kirkland's.
Joanna Kirby.
Yeah.
That was all I had on that. I just wanted to touch on it because it's just like
a lot of
wild.
feuds.
A lot
like
of
again,
feuding.
People just need like I don't think celebrities should have their own like Twitter accounts.
A lot of them don't run their own social media.
As they should.
When they do, it's an issue.
It's crazy and it's entertaining, but it's crazy.
It's entertaining.
Yeah. You're just like, whoa.
Yeah.
What did you just post? And then it's gone.
Yeah.
And you're just like, oh shit.
Yep.
Yeah. But anyways, I think that's all we had for you guys today. As always, thank you for joining us. Please rate, review, like, and subscribe. Please send this podcast to your friends, your friends, your mom's friends, your dad's friends, your dog, your cat, your fish, the stranger on the bus.
And don't just lie to us and tell us you listen to this in person.
Yeah.
I want to see numbers, people.
Yeah, I want to see numbers. I want to see you hit that 5-star button.
Yeah.
And until then, we'll see you next time. Bye.